like swimming?
Not really, but honestly, I swear to God, I don't know why. I was just literally lying in my bed just before, thinking. I had this thought just pop into my head of like, what would happen if a shark attacked me in the water? I literally had that thought. I was like, you're supposed to hit it on its nose, aren't you? Yeah, I'd hit it on its nose, but it'd probably miss and eat me. Those are some thoughts I just had earlier on. I should have put them on the thing. In fact, I think we're still recording. I'm here today at Front Conference.
Front Conference,
Front
correct?
Conference in Zurich with Tamas, who's a developer evangelist at Cloudinary. And yeah, what are you up to these days at Cloudinary?
What I do is I attend a lot of events. I do a lot of presentations. I do a lot of meetups. Actually, the conference season just started now with this conference, and I have a lot of upcoming conferences to attend to. So hopefully I'll be able to grind through them. But yeah, I just prepared a few talks. This is the first time when I talked about the JAMStack, which seems to be the latest buzzword these days. And then I will have a few more talks on the JAMStack, do some workshops on managing videos on the web, and some other goodies.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So what does Cloudinary do actually?
Cloudinary is a software as a service company, and we allow you to upload media assets, and we store them in the cloud, and then we allow you to retrieve them, optimize them, transform them. So for example, the demo that I just did literally 10 minutes ago was upload an image to Cloudinary and then render an image that is a thumbnail image of a person. Like you can find a face using AI, shrink down the image, crop it, add effects to it, and then because everything happens server side, the end result is going to be a really small image in size, served up to the browser, which then you can use in your application.
Yeah, brilliant. I remember that's the kind of stuff I would do. Every single project I would build would be someplace you've got to upload the image, resize the image, get thumbnails, and that's what Cloudinary does for you. Yeah.
Completely automatically. Well, you just need to do some SDK calls or API calls, and then you're done. Because what we say is the web is visual, right? Every time when you go online, you will encounter images, 360-degree videos, HD videos, streaming. And unfortunately, a lot of developers still don't realize that if they just download an image or they use an image and then they manipulate with CSS, they still make the browser to download a much larger image.
Yeah, because if you just make the image small with CSS, you're still downloading the big image.
Exactly, and then you shrink it using the CSS properties of width, and then you apply the radius, whereas if you do that server side, what gets sent to you is a really small image.
Yeah, and that's what you need to do.
Exactly.
For many reasons, actually. Many reasons.
Performance, one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also something I talk about actually, which is the carbon cost of transferring data over the internet is actually quite high.
Exactly.
So if you to reduce the amount of stuff you send over the bandwidth, you can actually do good for the environment.
Yeah. What I'm trying to advocate as well is sort of social equality on the web, meaning that if I, as a company, create a service, I shouldn't exclude countries and people just because of their infrastructure out from using that service, right? Yeah. So for example, I spoke with many people who live in India, in Asia, and they, for example, said that certain companies' products they can't even load on their phone because they use an old device. They don't even have access to 4G, whereas in parts of Europe we are testing 5G and wow, but then you go to some other remote part in the world and then they use 2G and they're lucky to have 3G. So it's not fair to exclude those people.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of looking. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, that's a good mindset to have. A good mindset to have to think about those people. Think about
Yeah, because that's your next 1 billion users.
Yeah. Excellent. So I really like to so that's like kind of who you are right now. And every time I meet people, and I meet people in the conference circuit, and I just always know who you are right now.
Yeah.
What always fascinates me is kind of finding out what people were back then. So like, what got you into technology? What made you passionate about it? And kind of what was your journey up to here?
All right. So I clearly remember that I was about 12 or 13, which was a long time ago. That my dad just came home and he had this book, which was it said HTML 3.2, and I was like, oh, okay. what is this? And he says, oh, there's this thing called the web, and he just found this book in the library or in the bookshop. And I said, oh, I'll read it. So I started reading it, and then it just had this very simple HTML commands, and I thought, okay, so I have this very big computer on my desk, with the funky keyboard that makes the sounds, mechanic keyboard.
Oh yeah, the good ones.
The good ones, yeah. And then I thought, what if I just type in, something like H1 and then save the file and open it in the browser? I was like, ooh, look at that big bold text.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? So it's just,
Did you play around with Blink?
I did Blink, I did Marquee, I did everything. I'm not proud of it, but I think most of the people did.
We all did. Yeah.
And then I think it just all started back then, right? It's the fact that you can type in some arbitrary code or some meaningless things somewhere, save it, and then it's just you see it visually in front of you, and you can create something.
Yeah.
And then I just really liked IT. I moved away from IT a bit. I went into like economics and other things, and I realized it's not interesting. And then I was lucky enough to see. So I finished university when I was around 20 some years old, and then I realized I need to get a degree in IT because back then I also knew that they're looking for a lot of developers and programmers, right? So probably I will get a job if I graduate, and now here we are, right? So that kind of worked out. But yeah, I really enjoyed working with computers, programming, and then eventually I just realized that I love doing presentations. I love talking to people, interacting with people.
Yeah.
I love sharing knowledge, and then being a developer evangelist really means that I get to interact with all sorts of people coming from a variety of backgrounds. And then I just love sharing knowledge with them, and then I think it's very satisfying when you do a talk and they come up to you and say, oh, this was a great talk, and this is very relevant, and can we have a chat? And I just love what I do now.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, fantastic. Kind of, it's all about helping people at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I do work with a lot of coding boot camps, universities, just to teach students and make sure that they have the right knowledge and they're ready for the market.
What was the first website you built?
Oh, the first website that I built. Oh my god! I think, I think I remember. I used to do a lot of diving, scuba diving.
Oh really? Oh, wow.
And then I think I did like a bartle business with like a bartle. Yeah, like when you not exchange money, like you exchange services, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And I told this company who organized these diving trips that I would create a website for them in exchange for a trip to like Croatia or something.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they said yes, and I just I clearly remember that I used Macromedia Dreamweaver.
Oh, Dreamweaver! I remember Dreamweaver, all drag and drop.
Exactly.
Making anchor links by dragging this.
Or like pressing Ctrl or something. Yeah, you could do that. So I just whipped up a page for them. They liked it. I'm pretty sure I had like moving animated GIFs of fish all over the place.
Well, of course. I mean, I would
like bubbles coming out from the footer, right?
Oh,
brilliant.
Like 2019 design from Aston.
Oh yeah, of course. And then they liked it, and then I was happily scuba diving in Croatia. Yeah.
Oh,
no, that was fun.
That's a great
Wish life would be that easy, right?
The good old days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So if you were to go back in time and you could speak to the young Tamas and say, hey, do this thing a bit differently, or here's a bit of advice, or what would you do? What would you say?
What would I say? God, that's such a difficult question. It's like when at interviews they ask, oh, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm like, well, alive, I hope. But what would I change? I don't know. I think, what? Can I just say I wouldn't change a thing?
That's brilliant. Yeah.
Because I am where I am now because of all the decisions I made before.
Yeah.
And if I would change it, I mean, I'd be here. So I think.
And you're happy where you're right now?
I am very happy right now.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, that's great.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
That's perfect answer.
So I've heard about this thing called JAMStack.
Yeah.
And I love all stacks.
Okay.
Tell me about the JAMStack. What's the JAMStack?
And you love jam?
I love jam, actually. I actually do like jam.
You see?
Yeah.
That's why people jump on it, because they think it's like food involved. Okay, so the JAMStack. So it's short for JavaScript, APIs, and markup. Okay? But what that really means is that it's almost like a movement, right? It's a collection of tools and best practices to allow developers to deploy and develop websites in a much easier fashion. Okay, so what you do, there are lots of technologies involved in here. There are static site generators, which basically generate HTML structure with the data at build time instead of request time, right? So request time is when you would click on a link and then there would be some origin server doing some work and then that serves that back to you. Exactly.
I always find static sites to be quite interesting because that was how you made your scuba diving website however many years ago.
Exactly. It was just HTML, CSS and JavaScript.
And then we went this other way and now we're going back to how we were building. We were like, that was actually quite good.
Yeah, with the exception that now we're leveraging some of these front-end frameworks, right? Like React and Vue, because all of them have static site generators. So if you're a Vue developer, you can use Nuxt.js, VuePress, Gritsum, and you can just write Vue code, run a command, it builds you the final HTML structure, and then you put that onto an Edge server, right? So it's available globally and you're done. And the other interesting thing is that you just said static sites and how they are static. They're not. Okay. It's static. That's what I said on stage actually. I said when I say static, I don't mean static, right? Because the A is for APIs. So you need authentication. And traditionally speaking, if you wanted to have authentication, you would have to make sure you have a database, you have the right server, you store the passwords encrypted, and it's a lot of work. Now, just use an API service provider like Auth0 for authentication. You need e-commerce, you leverage Snipcart. You want to have images in your application, you use Cloudinary. So use all these various APIs to make your app dynamic. Yet, the HTML structure is still going to be static, right? So you kind of progressively enhance your HTML with JavaScript.
And that's it.
That's it. And then, there are tools out there that help you with deployment, continuous integration and deployment. You hook them all up and you're good to go.
It's fantastic. And I like the way it's basically taken, because the way tech can seem right now is it almost seems like there's just this impossible set of choices and methods for how to build and deploy applications. And somebody who hasn't quite seen the industry go and change doesn't quite understand which one to take, and what the JAMStack is a way of saying, well, this is a good path to choose and it will meet 19% of all use cases. And I think that's why I like it as well.
I think for new developers, today's development scene could be very scary. Because then, what should I use? Angular, React, Vue, this, that, Webpack, Gulp, Grunt, etc. roll up, and you're like, whoa, slow down, right? So I think with the JAMStack is we take what was working 10 years ago, static stuff, and then at the same time we leverage the modern stuff, right? Like all these modern frameworks, and it's just a very nice combination of both of these things.
And that's quite interesting what you mentioned, because I think it also is a way of saying, look, it doesn't really matter, because the JAMStack isn't, unlike other stacks like the mean stack, which specifically, or the lamp stack, which specifically, because mean meant Mongo, DB, Express, Angular, Node.
And there's the MERN, which is like React, Insta. And then LAMP, Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP or Perl, or the MySQL Postgres. But the classic one is LAMP, MySQL, PHP.
But they were advocating for a particular set of technologies. What the JAMStack isn't. It's not a set of specific technologies. It's just whatever you use. This is the common way. So you don't go into all these wars regarding frameworks. It's okay. Just do it the Jam way.
It's okay to use the framework that you're familiar with already. But what matters is to create the HTML at build time and then deploy that.
And every framework does that. Pretty much.
Well, not the front end frameworks, but the static site generators do.
Fantastic. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Tamas. And
thank you for having me, Asim.
Excellent. Goodbye.
Bye.